Hello, hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to the Awakening Her podcast. How are you doing today, my friend? I feel like it's been a little bit since we've connected. It's been a little bit more sparse around here with the episodes compared to the last 4 years. Over the summer, it's just been, schedules evolving, kids home, less time to work, those types of things, out enjoying real life. But I'm excited. We are here right now, and I want to share a little bit about what's been going on the last couple months, but through the lens of the identity shift that happens as we are manifesting, as we are evolving. And I want to talk about that identity piece because so often we want a thing and we're looking for okay, how do I get that thing? But once you create something, and I want you to think about a time when you did create the job or a partner came or a health goal was reached or whatever, when you look back, you go, yeah, it was a whole evolution. Like if you were wanting to get healthier, this is a great example. It's an identity shift. It's the way you do things. It's not just a 6-week, plan or time. It's a whole shift. You start, drinking more water and you start drinking maybe less alcohol, or your foods shift. You're doing more exercise, and it all kind of stacks until all of a sudden you are a healthier person. It's a whole vibe change. It's a whole identity shift. So I've been really reflecting. The reflector in me cannot help that, human design reflector, on how, as I have gotten ready to host this retreat, and the retreat now in real time is happening in less than 2 weeks from when I'm recording this. As it's happened, I've seen myself change. I've seen myself shift. I've seen myself looking through the lens of the I am a retreat host, not I wish I was. It's something I want to do. So I'm kind of going to talk about that. And if you've been around the block with me, for over 10 years, I've wanted to do this. It's been a big vision goal. It's like I see myself, in the future, the quantum me, and I'm hosting retreats, but I wasn't moving myself into it. There's lots of reasons. We're going to talk all about it, because I think it's a good learning opportunity of how these things go from one day and kind of always in the future, something you want, the big vision goal, how we actually merge that into our right now timeline, into our current timeline. How do we manifest it? How do we achieve it? How do we step into it, right? And I'm going to talk about how even in a quantum leap, it's made up of all of these individual little shifts, even when overall it actually happens quite quickly. So I love geeking out about real manifestation, grounded manifestation. It sounds like an oxymoron, but it really is. Manifestation is the art of creation. It's the art of achieving and going after and embodying your goals. And to me, the magic part of it, when we talk about manifestation, is the co-creation part. We listen to our intuition, we notice when we're guided, and even those pulls on your heart. Like for me, hosting a retreat was a pull on my heart. I felt like I could make a huge impact in a weekend. I felt like for me, it was a more fully expressed me that can host meditations and workshops and take people through an experience. It all felt good and like it was part of my greater purpose. So that is the manifestation part, the things that are on your heart, the co-creation, the noticing of signs, and as I say, intuition and guidance and deep knowing and faith and trust. It has a lot to do with the unseen and the magic. But at the end of the day, it doesn't just show up, as I've been saying for a long time, it doesn't just show up at the end of your driveway because you sat on the couch, but you wished for it. It does require a moving into, it does require identity shifts. And that's what I'm really excited to kind of reflect more on today. So if that sounds interesting to you, then let's dive into this episode. I've been forgetting in the intros a little bit, but I'm going to remind you right now to take a sip of your water. Take a breath, drop your shoulders. I'll do the same, and let's dive into this episode. Okay, so this retreat has been on my heart for over a decade. So I want you to think about something that has been a long-term goal, whether it is health or starting a business or making more money or literally any goal you've had. So I've been seeing it in my mind's eye. That's how I really know when I'm led. It's like those big visions. Same with writing the book. Like I've just seen it forever. And I remember 10 years ago really saying, someday as I get my business started, in my mind, I was like, I need a business, so I need community, so the people that are going to come to it, and I've done in-person workshops before. I've done my online business for over 10 years, but talking about in-person, I've done a couple talks, I've done some workshops. It was mostly when I was doing nutrition consulting and intuitive eating and all that stuff. But since then, I've done a few in-person things, knowing that like one day I'm going to do a retreat. But I was building my business, building my community, and every year it would be like, I'm going to grow more, and then I'm going to do the retreat. Or once I have, more people that are on my email list or whatever it is on Instagram, or people I've worked with, as I make deeper connections, then I will host a retreat. And all of that is true. So again, you're thinking of your goal. We think, when I cut out sugar, when I, have a bit more money to buy more, organic food, or when this happens, that's kind of, when I'll start moving forward with it. Or maybe it's when life calms down, when the kids go back to school, when the kids grow up, when, whatever it is, we can think like this needs to happen first because I'm not ready. So there is some truth in the not ready. When I look back, yes, of course, in the quantum, I could have hosted a retreat 5 years ago. You could have done the goal however long ago, but that's not what life's about. And that level of thinking just adds sort of shame, and it really just bypasses the human experience. You have been working your way toward that goal. I was working my way toward that goal. And I realized that I was kind of getting to a point of, it's always later. So then I start looking back and going, how many years have I said, maybe next year will be the year for the retreat? And then realizing how big of a deal that was. And I'm just going to be really transparent because we're talking about it. For me, it was like, I have to put a huge down payment. So this was my thoughts, huge down payment on something. And I'm not even sure if people are going to come. That was like at the bottom of the narrative. That was the uncertainty of like, well, I can't do it right now because I have no idea. And as time went on, I didn't know what I was waiting for, like maybe enough people to say like, I totally want to come to your retreat. But I was really just waiting because I was scared. And again, in transparency, getting ready to do this even last year made me heal a lot because I have had trauma, things as we all have. And I've had a history with women and those sort of occurrences and abandonment and betrayal from family members to friends turning against me to bullies. And so I realized that I was scared to be seen. I realized I was scared to, almost be an empowered woman with other empowered women. Like about a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, I became very aware that putting me in like a circle of women almost makes me susceptible to bullying or something like that subconsciously. So I started working through that. And you guys that have, been listening, I've been doing inner child work in the last few years. I really got into that because I realized my inner child, my inner teenager was running the show. It was a piece of it that was keeping me from being able to fully go, I host retreats. This is what I do now, right? So a couple years ago, I went deeper into that and really healed a lot with the feminine wound, with, mom issues, abandonment, and all these different things. I was looking at them. I was moving through the work. You guys heard me. I talked about it on the show as far as the tools and, the deeper layers of the healing. And then I realized maybe toward the end of 2024 or mid 2024 that I didn't feel that anymore. I didn't feel afraid of gathering with women, as funny as that sounds. Some people, you're going to totally get what I'm saying there. And I realized that level had dissolved. And I was like, okay, so now what's stopping me? Well, it was almost back to like, I have to do this big down payment. So I first of all have to have like a bunch of money sitting in the bank. I have to know people are going to sign up. And as I started getting more no BS basically in my business, in my life with myself toward the end of 2024, I started saying to myself, okay, Talia, we need to make a big, brave move. And then with all the tools you've learned, because actually, hang on, I'm going to go right back to this. Toward the end, this is so funny. I'm realizing it right now, just the synchronicities of how they line up. Toward the middle of 2024, And it had been sprinkled in for a few years, but I got really into nervous system work. So yeah, probably about like spring to mid 2024, pardon me. And then it got more and more. I was working with a mentor, learning tools, learning how trauma manifests on a nervous system level and what was actually going on in my body. I was going through an existential crisis. There was a lot of layers of purification that were going on, but I learned so many nervous system tools and how to be and how to almost like handle life in a new way without bolting, without numbing, without coping, without freezing. You get what I'm talking about. So I got deep into that work and learned so many things that changed me. So now we're maybe fall 2024 and I'm starting to go like, okay, I need to do the retreat soon. So this brings me back to where I just put a pin in it. I decided to myself, you need to just take a big, brave action and then pause, use your tools. I guess I would say that the language is like regulate, deal with the stuff that comes up, the fear, the this, the that, be with it, and then take another big, bold action and trust the process. And I felt like through the healing and the nervous system work I'd done, like I was resourced. I felt like I could actually do that. So toward the end of 2024, I wrapped up some of the group programs I was doing and all that. 2025 hit. I was not doing anything that felt out of integrity or squishy or just didn't feel like I wanted to do it anymore. So again, as you're thinking about your goals, notice how the things that you have grown through, the layers of healing, the stuff that, again, you might all of a sudden get into nervous system or Reiki or EFT or just different things. And they are all preparing you for those visions, for those goals, for those manifestations. We don't just hop into a parallel reality overnight. We become it. I've been saying it for 10 years. Be it to become it. So the purifications you've been going through, the sometimes rock bottoms, sometimes really exciting, sometimes blessings, and then we kind of numb and bolt and pull away, and then we have like a dip, and it can be a lot of up and down, and you are moving toward that as long as you decide it. As long as you continue to keep your eye on the prize and grow through what you go through. So I was frustrated with myself at the earlier part of the year. I realized 2025, here we are, another year. If this is going to be the year that I do something different, do a retreat that's been on my heart and really get into hosting and see what that's all about, I got to start now because they take time. They take time for you guys to plan things. It takes time for, of course, me to plan things, to book venues. Like it takes time. You don't just throw it together in a weekend. So let's get to it. So I decided that in about January. And then come about March, I was like, okay, we're not doing it because I had other things going on and whatever. March, I made a decision within myself. So again, thinking of your goals, we get to a point where we've healed a bunch and we've gone through like our endless purifications and we have the tools, and then we kind of go, okay, that's it. We decide. And then we kind of, a lot of us goo for a while. We kind of might sabotage a little bit. We might dip our toe. We kind of have one foot in. And then you get to the bottom of another round of like, okay, F it. Like, if I'm doing it, I'm doing it. Now is the time. I'm not getting younger. Time doesn't go backwards except in some quantum fields. But in the case of Earth and this human experience, it's another year. Are we doing it or not? And that was the big thing within myself, reaching to the depths of who I was to go like, no, we're doing it. This big, scary thing. I either do it or I don't. And I was like, okay. And I've talked about this before here. The impact of not doing it starts to outweigh the want, the scariness. So the scariness of what I was leaping into was so scary. But then all of a sudden, the weight of not doing it became more. And the scales tip. And in March, I was like, that's it, we're doing it. So I decided to go back to the venue that I had been I'd been promoting and actually planning a retreat right before COVID. And then everything shut down and Canada shut down and nobody was traveling. We stopped it, but I knew I wanted to do my first one there. So in March, I started calling them again. The person I had talked to before, she was gone. So I got transferred to a new person. Very lovely. I went there probably a month later, even though I'd been there a few times, but I just went again to look around. And I came home with like a quote and I was looking at dates that they were sending me back that were available. I'm only sharing this with you to say we start the ball rolling and we kind of do like one thing and we reach out and we do this, or you try a thing and you see how it goes. And so I just did one thing and then it was real. I had the quote and now it's real. Like, okay, well, our next step would be then the deposit. And I'm going like, okay, this is the moment of, am I doing it or not? So it could be posting your business online. It could be going for the promotion. It could be taking a big friggin' risk in some way, or signing up for the personal training sessions, or anything that to you has felt like, okay, this is really doing it. This is really putting it into action. And so I put it off naturally because I'm human for maybe a couple weeks. And she reaches out and she's like, okay, so I just want you to know those dates, I have blocked them out in the calendar. So no pressure. If we change them, it's fine. But for now, they're there unless you tell me no. And I'm like, okay, this is life moving it forward for me. And just so you know, like when you are ready, just what's next is that deposit. And I'm like, all right. So as the next month went on or whatever, the time I was stalling and then she reconnected with me, I just said, you know what, let's just do it. And that's when my motto became, take a big, brave step and then regulate, use your tools, take a moment to chill. Take a weekend off, go put your feet on the earth, do some breath work, do some Kundalini, move it through you. And that's what I did. And then one day she sent me forms that were like, signing forms. And I was shaking as I was digitally signing forms, probably look like a 6-year-old. They do anyway. And then, of course, what's left is that deposit. So I phone her and I had put that off for like a couple hours. I'm like, I'll phone you, in the afternoon. And I was shaking and I'm like, we got this. I'm using my tools. I'm authentically going into it. I gave the credit card, the payment goes through and I'm like, welp. Here we are. So for you in your journey, it's like you get to a tipping point and then you continue saying yes. And yeah, fear might come up. Uncertainty means you're in new territory. Uncertainty means you're not back in what is certain. So I don't know about you, but the rebel in me, the freedom seeker in me is like, yeah, I don't want certain. I don't want here and now and then never evolving. I want to continually go after things that kind of scare me a little bit, So then that was it. And so I'm like, well, I better get making a retreat, sales page and talking about it, mentioning it to the people that had reached out, all the stuff. And the ball continues to roll. So I want to come back to the learning in this and the identity piece. I started out this journey 10 years ago with a desire and my identity was not even close to ready, which is fine. I was 10 years younger. I was 10, we have to give grace to all the versions of ourselves. It's totally fine. But I have gone through such self-growth and such embodiment and healing over the time that I have started to step into retreat host. So after I created the page and I told the first few people, I started to get ready to actually announce it. Like the papers were signed, the money was deposited, and now it was literally time to start talking about it. And so every time I talked about it, that little piece of my identity was becoming a retreat host. Or when someone would reach out and go, oh, I was just wondering for your retreat, and then ask a question, I'm like, ooh, my retreat. And it was all these tiny little moments of this is me becoming it. The content, the actual flow of it was just, I've seen it for so long, and my third eye and my heart were just leading us through a beautiful transformation arc, a beautiful journey. That wasn't the scary part for me. So I got to getting excited about exactly what we were going to do and the days and talking about it more and putting it out there. And along the way, there have been times when I'm like, oh my God, is this happening? Because another fear I noticed as I got in is like, what if only 2 people show up? That would be so awkward in a way that I was just like, come on, like let's just not have a really awkward amount of people. And then as I started talking about it more, there was a few people that got in like day 1, day 2, and that kind of put my shoulders down, and life was going, trust the process, continue making big, scary moves, and then taking time, regulating. I would spend more time in nature. I would kind of not try to hustle it and force it. I would just be with it. And my identity started shifting. After that decision in March, everything started to change with every big step and then getting through it. And then once I've done the deposit and then a couple people sign up, now even my mind is going, okay, well, now I have the deposit money back. And then so let's put the rest in the retreat fund, blah, 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 and like all the things that start happening. But the point is it started to become real. It was like, oh, okay, this is doable. I can totally, see this. But it was terrifying. But every time I did it, and now every payment that's come out from the retreat center, it now is just more natural. I'm calling, I'm like, yeah, totally, Naomi, put the payment through today. I'm like, who am I? Because like a year ago, I was terrified. But this is the identity piece. At first, it feels foreign. And I'm going to drop a spiritual, nugget here. As you evolve your identity, as you get closer and closer to manifesting it, your actions become natural. The result actually becomes natural. You don't wake up healthy one day. You start doing all those things that I mentioned in the intro, like drinking more water and doing this and taking a vitamin and meditating, and it all stacks up. And all of a sudden, feeling, healthier, feeling lighter, having better digestion. It's like, yeah, it's natural because now I am that. So that's the part, is over time, this stuff becomes natural. And now it's less than 2 weeks away. I'm talking to venues. I'm arranging things. I'm, doing insurance and doing all the stuff that this version of me does, that I was terrified that if I could actually do it a year ago. And once I actually host the retreat, so for you, once you actually get that money goal or health goal or whatever it is, and you're there, that identity is then fully embodied. And of course, there's room for expansion, but the getting there is like a check. Okay. And it was all leading up to it. So for Talia, the retreat host, fully embodied, I'm already embodied by the time I get there, because I've been doing that work. I've been rehearsing and, seeing it in my mind's eye, and all of this, all the stuff I'm talking about, the healing and the tools and all the stuff. I've also been hosting meditations and workshops and transformative experiences and programs for more than 10 years. So like, I frickin' got this. But I did not start out that way. This is how manifestation works. It's not just thinking about it and waiting. It's an identity shift. It is shifting on a deeper level, growing through what you go through, growing through what comes up, and moving toward the vision. Moving toward what it is you say you want. We don't bypass action. We just learn how to do action or take action from a grounded place, rather than I got to fix myself, like winging spaghetti at the wall and panicking and having the ego plan and all or nothing. That action doesn't get us there. But real, grounded, healing, aligned action, embodiment action, you just move forward so much that it's now natural. Like, how could I not become a retreat host? By calling a venue, by making a deposit, by talking about it, by selling spots, by, mentioning it to people and getting them to mention it to their friends and sending out emails. Like, that is me becoming it. It's not a surprise. In 2 weeks, I'm not going to be like shocked that today I'm now a retreat host, although it's blowing my mind that a year ago I was like, oh, other people are doing it, I want to do it, a year ago. And now I'm like, here I am. And so even within a quantum leap, because it's a short amount of time, since March, when I really made that decision, a short amount of time to feel an upgrade in my cells, like my body is lighter. I feel like there's a sparkle in my eye. I'm like going for walks. It's like everything is changing as I upgrade this identity. So even a big change in a short amount of time is made up of all this stuff that I'm talking about. It's the everyday. It's the embodiment. It's how I react to life. It's how I cause my own success. So when you zoom out, it looks like everything changes in a short amount of time in this area of my life. But when you zoom in, it's day by day, week by week, regulating through fear, taking aligned steps, noticing when it's like something deeper, doing that work as you have been, right? You're a self-growth junkie. We just continue to do it. And also in March, when I got frustrated of not doing it, what I also realized is I was in the trenches for almost not too long, but like the egg timer dinged, we are ready to move out. And that was a really important breakthrough at that time, is I moved out of, why am I sabotaging, blah, blah. Why do I always react that way? It was the why am I in this? And almost like, how am I going to get out of it? It was so much, I was in it for too long. I had dissected, I had healed, and I was ready to grow my legs and move out of the goo. So I went from why do these patterns persist, and why do I, act like this, and why do I sabotage, into what do I want? And that was the difference. We can why a lot and like get a coach, work with people, do the self-growth books and the courses and all the things and ask yourself the questions, but there gets to a point where we have to say, okay, now what do I want? Because what you focus on expands. And it doesn't almost matter, why do I sabotage? Why do I close down my heart when this happens? Or why do I have a problem with this and this? Answers will be revealed over time, it's fine. But at the end of the day, we need to have the capacity to decide what we want and actually spend all of that energy where we're like, why and how, spend all of that energy in what do I want, and become that now. You want health, drink some water right now. Doesn't mean you become it in 20 seconds, but it's the identity shift. It's the habit shift to the point where it becomes natural. That's when the money comes in and you go, well, yeah, I've been working for it, or I've been doing my energy work. I've been calling it in. I've been putting my services out. Like, well, yeah, it's natural that money would come in. So if it doesn't feel natural, it just means you're in the process of bridging the gap, which is so normal, as far as like, that's a good sign. You're on the path. You're in the right arena. When it's not natural though yet, you just need to look at, what does she have, that version of me have, that I don't have right now? Is it that I want to work on my posture and standing with confidence? Is it that I'm so overwhelmed all the time, I need to learn to regulate? Is it that she like walks into a room in a different way? Do I need to upgrade my wardrobe a little bit? Or, what is it that she has that I don't? And we don't do shame or blame or anything. We just use it for information so that we can move forward. And the version of me that hosts retreats was really like grounded in like making plans, following through, calling with credit cards, like giving deposits, like all the stuff that's like the business CEO stuff. She was rocking that. And then when she would go like, oh my God, is this really happening? Like, oh my God. I'd breathe, I'd feel it, I'd do some breath work, I'd go for a run, and that fear would turn into exhilaration. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh my God, I'm like running down the road. I'm doing it. And this is the magic of just staying in the work. But this is how manifestation happens. The identity is upgraded. And now I find ways to be like, even with family, I'm like, oh, my retreat, or the kids are like, oh, are you bringing that to your retreat? It's like become normal. I didn't wake up and anyone handed me anything. Even the universe didn't just drop something in my lap. I became this. And I was scared, and I chose to be brave, and I used my tools, and I looked at myself with integrity, and every single day I've been embodying for like a year, 6 months at least. Like, I was going through gooey times, but like I've been really solid with dancing around and embodying my future self and doing my tools and going to bed with the visual of where I'm going in my mind. And not using flashy manifestation catchy tools, just being it, becoming it, brushing my teeth like her, reaching out with business questions and arrangements and Zoom calls, and like doing the things that she does. So I'm going to start to wrap up here, but I just want to present how this is the soul work. And as I see this retreat come to life and people are flying in and they're giving me flight information, it's all so real. I'm so proud of myself and I'm so grateful that I went through the intense, paralyzing fear to continue moving through. And I am a really normal person from the west coast of Canada that has no advantage when it comes to, like no issues. And I had everything handed to me and life has always been great. Like my life has been tough. I've had a lot of struggles, as I know you have. I had no confidence. I had no self-worth. I had an eating disorder for over a decade. I had addiction problems because I just hated being in my skin and in my life. And I say all this to say that we can change, we can heal, we can come back into our power and literally see our dreams become reality. And you've already been brave. So like bravery and doing things, that are big or expansive, like you've got this. You've got what it takes. It just takes the big brave step and then the tools to regulate, the tools to move through the hullabaloo that it creates inside sometimes when we take big steps or we get scared. And the tool or the aim is to take these big bold steps and regulate and move the energy through so that we don't get to the point where it's too much stimulus, it's too much stress, it's too much, and then we bolt or we procrastinate, we freeze, we shut down, whatever our coping strategies are. That's what happens is we get really high up in the like, oh my God. And then we shut it down because our nervous system can't handle it. It doesn't know how to hold the capacity of what we say we want. So we need to bridge that gap. We need to practice doing something bold, even for you, if it's going for a walk or asking someone out or going for a job or whatever it is that feels like, oh my gosh, could I actually do that? Like start doing this regularly, join a thing, whatever it is. When we do that and then we regulate, we give ourselves love and care as we start to kind of freak out or be scared or be nervous. That's what bravery is. Bravery isn't doing something confident. It's doing something, pardon my French, fucking scared, totally terrified, and doing it anyway. But loving yourself enough to use the tools to regulate, maybe do it with support, do it however you need to do, that you're caring for yourself as you do it. This is the soul work. And for you starseeds, for you old souls, this may resonate with you. This teaches us to stay in our body. I know sometimes it's like, oh, do I have to be human? Stay in our body through expansion, through learning, without bolting or freezing or numbing because it's scary. We learn to actually stay in our body, stay here, so that we can take another brave step in a little bit when we've become, it's like you wobble, you go, oh, and then you come back to center, and you take another step and you go, oh, and then you come back to center, and that's what it looks like. So once the manifestation actually arrives, it's natural. We can hold it. I can go through the weekend without freaking out and going like, oh my God, I can't do this. Like I'm going to be embodied. And as excitement rushes through me, it's excitement. It's okay. I've got this. So I want you to ask yourself, what identity is calling you to upgrade? What came up for you through all of this? What piece feels like the next thing that scares you? Like my whole oh my God, like a deposit. Like I might put that down and then nobody buys. And that was a big hook. I was like, I know I have to be in a different place to be able to just, put down a giant deposit. No big deal. That's what I thought. So for you, what is it that you feel like is stopping you? And how can we use our tools and regulate through and take one action that feels like it's stretching you, and then use your tools to sink in, to breathe through, not to disassociate, but to stay in the game so that you can continue moving forward. This is exactly what I do with my clients. I give them the toolbox so that when they're done working with me, they are more resourced, they're more clear, they're more steady. They can make those decisions and be more resourced as they move through all the fears that really do come up. So I would love to work with you if you've been looking for one-on-one work. I have a few spots through September and actually a couple spots all the way through to January. Of course, if you want to join us on the retreat, at the time that this is being released, we have only about 5 days till the cart closes. So you can check out if we're still open at that point. I would love to have you there, to have you part of my visualization coming to life, where we transform lives, where we create sacred space, where we really do embody that next level version. You can't come to this retreat and not be changed, activated, transformed, moved, shifted in some way. It's just not possible. The land is healing. The meditations are healing. The presence is healing. It's just going to be so good. So I will put the link below for USD as well as Canadian. And I really hope to see you there. Thank you for listening to the story today. It's one of my reflections, and I kind of didn't really have notes. I just wanted to share on what I've been noticing within myself, and also give a little update that like we're doing okay. It's been rough over this year. You guys have heard some of the ups and downs, and we're doing okay. It's the rebirth, it's the goo, it's the shedding, it's the refinement into the elevated version of me. So thank you for being here. Love you so much. You can check the show notes for all the links I talked about and more, and I will see you in the next episode.